All right, so this week we're going to be talking about how to convert between fractions and decimals. So before we get into that, we are going to do a quick review over decimals and place values and a quick review over fractions. If you need to pause this video to set up your ISN, please do that and then push play when you're ready to continue. So over here to the far left is our tens place. Next to that, we have our ones place. Then we have our tenths directly to the right of the decimal. Then our hundredths. Then our thousandths. And then our 10,000. This is important to know because you need to be able to say the decimal correctly for converting to fractions. Okay? Then for our fraction review, this top number here is the numerator. The bottom number is the denominator. And then one way we could say 1/2 with this dividing line here is 1 divided into 2 groups. So 1 divided into 2 groups. So that was our quick decimal and fraction review, and now we're going to talk about converting decimals to fractions. So there are 3 steps when we convert decimals to fractions. The first step is to say it. So if we are looking at the first example, example 1, we would say that as 0 and 5/10. 0 and 5/10. Our next step would be to write it. So we write it just like it sounds. We don't have a whole number, so we're going to skip that part. 0 and 5/10. And our last part is to simplify it. So we know that 5/10 can be simplified because both the numerator and the denominator can be divided by 5. So our answer is 1/2, and that cannot be simplified anymore, so that is our final step. Take a second to do example 2 and 3 on your own, and then push play when you're ready to check your answers. Example 2 has 1 and 6/10. When we go to simplify it, we're going to leave that 1 there, and the 6 can be divided by 2, and the 10 can be divided by 2. So we're going to get 1 and 3/5 as our final answer. And then for example 3, we have 1 and 41/100ths, and that cannot be simplified, so we are going to leave it as it is. Moving on to converting fractions to decimals. One easy way to remember how to do this is the saying that you can never put a horse in a gas station. So if we were to make this a little horse, up here, we have our little cowboy. Our cowboy is going to be the one to go into the gas station. So our cowboy would get off and go inside while our horse, so this 2 down here is part of the horse, is going to stay outside. So the first step in converting fractions to decimals is that the numerator is being divided by the denominator. The numerator is being divided by the denominator. So that's why it's going to go inside, and the 2, the denominator, is going to stay outside. Our next step is to divide like normal. So when we divide, we see that this 2 cannot go into this 1, so we need to add a decimal. Don't forget to bring your decimal up and add a 0. So now this 2 can go into 10 5 times. So 5 times 2 is 10, and we are left with no remainders. So it's really important that we stay neat and that we line up our place values. So that really helps with making sure your decimal is lined up at the bottom and at the top. So let's try one of these examples down here. So our first example is this 1/4. So 1/4 is going to, or the 1, the numerator, is going to go inside, and the 4 is going to stay outside, because you can never bring a horse into the gas station. All right, well, this 4 cannot go into 1, so we need to add our decimal, bring it up, put a decimal up there too, and then add a 0. This 4 can go into 10 2 times. 2 times 4 is 8. We have 2 left over. We need to add another 0 and bring it down. Then we have 4 goes into 25 times. 4 times 5 is 20. And we have no remainders. So our decimal is 25 hundredths, for example 1. Go ahead and try example 2 on your own. Pause the video, and then when you're ready to check your answer, push play. Try number 3 on your own. Well, actually, let's go over number 3 really quick. So one way to do this is to turn this into an improper fraction and then solve it. So we have 4 times 1 is 4, plus 3 is 7. So our improper fraction would be 7/4. And then we can divide by putting the numerator inside the denominator. So we have 4 goes into 7 1 time. 4, that equals 3. We need to add a decimal and add a 0. Bring up the decimal and bring down the 0. So 4 goes into 30 7 times. We have 28. We have 2, so we need to add another 0, bring it down, so we can completely get rid of the remainders. 4 goes into 25 times. and we don't have any more remainders. So our answer is 1/75. So in summary, when we are converting fractions to decimals, we need to remember to never put a horse in a gas station. So remember, if we have 1/2, our 1 is our numerator, he's our little cowboy, and our 2 is inside our little horse. So our 1 would get off and go into the gas station, and the 2 is going to stay outside. And then when you're converting decimals to fractions, it is important to remember to say it, write it, and simplify it. Like a little song, say it, write it, simplify it. All right, and that is all you need to know for converting fractions to decimals and decimals to fractions. I will see you on Monday. Have a great weekend.